All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, on pause and repause. We do have some interesting news of the day. I'm not sure I'm going to get to all of the articles. Some days you get like 10,000 fucking news articles, and so you can't cover them all. Then other days you get like one news article that's actually worth covering. It is the bane of my existence, actually. But we do have some news to talk about. Then we'll go straight to Bantz, of course. Trump deploys F-35s to Puerto Rico in war on drug cartels, according to report. He is amping up attacks on cartel vessels. Liberals are very upset about this. I'm going to try to explain why they should not be. Federal agents arrest hundreds at Hyundai plant construction site in Georgia. This has involved a diplomatic response by South Korea, because apparently a bunch of illegals from South Korea were working the Hyundai plant. This is regrettable. Sorry, South Korea. Love to visit your country. You have some great fucking food. But, we do have to actually crack down on illegal immigration in the country. Overstaying of visas, things like that. Jail leadership received high-level orders on Epstein case, but failed to prevent 6-hour monitoring gap, according to new documents that have been released. Wow! So they never actually enforced monitoring Jeffrey Epstein, one of the most high-profile felons in U.S. history? Yeah, what a coincidence. This happens all the time. It's sort of like the 7 AFD members who have died in Rhine-Westphalia over the last couple of weeks. Total coincidence, which we will be talking about, by the way, separately. And then, actually, for some reason, I had CNN's page over. Oh, yeah, and Elon Musk may become the first trillionaire in the world. Yes, indeed. We have come to that point. An African immigrant will become the world's first trillionaire, potentially. I'm sure, again, this will rub liberals exactly the wrong way. Well, then we'll talk about the jobs report and a few other things. I don't really need that open. Actually, I do need that open for now. Whoops. Yeah, I forgot to finish up this particular upload. That's not good. It's very bad, actually. Fucking... Yeah, I'll figure it out. There we go. I just want to make sure that live chat is actually usable after the stream is over. Yes, replay is on. Okay, that's good. Excellent. Yeah, it takes a little bit more effort when you're multi-streaming. It takes a little bit more time to set things up. We're going to Clank. What up, Clankers? So yeah, we got plenty of news to cover today. Actually, some of it's some primo stuff. Sending F-35s to Puerto Rico. It is definitely a scaling up of the operations within the Caribbean related to the drug trade. It'll be hilarious. Bog. W. Feather. Yes, indeed. I am Crack Sparrow, as people have termed me. I've been called Crack Sparrow and the Goth Sean Hannity. I'm very proud of these monikers, by the way. Let's get to our sponsors, though, before we get to the news articles. We have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. You can also get snacks for your doggo. They appear to be appreciated very much so, by the way. Take at least 2 of them now every morning. That's why I'm higher energy. Some people have noticed over the last videos that I'm speaking quicker than normal. That's because of the mushroom pills, I think. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not hypercaffeinating or using methamphetamine or anything like that. I'm assuming it's the mushroom pills. Seems to work. We've got BiltongUSA.com. Anytime that Anton and Biltong are mentioned, we will always have some of this on hand. I got another unopened one, thankfully, over there. Next time, I'm hoping Anton will send me like 3 of them or something. If you really wanted to give me a good gift. It's delicious. And it's perfect for your soup. He can also get you Marmite, Vegemite, and various meats, of course. Wagyu, Cabanassi, Angus. Doesn't really matter if you name it, he's probably got it available for sale. I wonder when he's going to get like Gazelle Biltong or something like that. We've also got Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts available. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is JAMNbean.com. Home of the Clanker coffee. We have our own signature blend. Other coffees available also. They have different profiles. I like the Clanker the best as a stand-all coffee. The Costa Rica blend, though, is very, very good, admittedly. And also the tea, the Yunnan Jig especially. I wish that I had an entire crate full of it right now. I ran out. I drank it all. Unfortunately, because it's nostalgic in a sense, because it reminds me of exactly the same kind of black tea they served in the Kung Chao before it became the Kung Chao Fusion, and then now it's an Asian restaurant, which has some good stuff, don't get me wrong, but it's no longer a restaurant. Yeah, the third Kung Chao variation didn't really last very long. It was carry-out only, and it looked terrible in there. It was just bleak compared to what it was back when I was a kid. Like, it used to be, it had that, like, sort of dimly lit, retro 20s Chinese restaurant look. And the food was great, by the way. But then they raised the rent, so they sold out to a Vietnamese couple. And that was pretty good, the Kung Chao Fusion. They added Vietnamese food, like dim sum and stuff like that, to the menu. And so it was pretty good. But then they sort of became like Panda Express 2.0. And now it's an Asian restaurant. It's in a good location. That's the whole thing. YouTube is AIDS. If I hit the Powerball, I'm buying Styx a pirate ship. If you wanted to do that, then I would be most amenable. Hey, that can become your new home. You can live on a pirate ship, matey. Isaac, Styx, Jeremy was trash-talking you yesterday, saying you need to pay him back and basically saying you're poor. Press X to doubt, considering the fact that I already did pay him back. Our arrangement was that I would do free appearances. Instead of being paid for them, I would simply do the appearances, and then it would pay back the bond. And that's what happened. So I call bullshit on that one. Although compared to him, I am admittedly poor. He makes far more money than I do. But no, I don't think that he was trash talking me. I call bullshit on that one. Trump deploys F35s to Puerto Rico in war on drug cartels. Yes, indeed. 10 F-35 fighter jets have been now stationed in Puerto Rico. We saw a couple of days ago, of course, the attack on the cartel ship that was coming out of Venezuela, and they blew it out of the water. And it's funny. This is hysterical. Liberals calling it an act of war. If this were a right-wing country, number one, they wouldn't have jack shit to say about it. They'd probably be congratulating and doing a golf clap. Number two, though, not a flagged vessel, not in national waters, clearly running drugs. They would not have staged such an op unless they had reasonable evidence that that was the case. And number four, let's say that a bunch of Americans got aboard a boat, right? And they tried to run even something as innocuous as marijuana, or even something that's not even drug-related. They're just running contraband in general, pirated coffee. They're shipping Clanker blend to Venezuela. What do you think would happen? They would be boarded and arrested, at a bare minimum. They might not even make it to shore. This happens all the time. One of the primary reasons for the existence of the U.S. military as first incepted was to run maritime lanes. It was really more about guarding shipping than anything else. Because, you got to think about, what's happening back in the late 1700s. You've got pirates. You've got privateers with letters of marque. You've got, basically terrorists. You've got people that will board your ship in order to impress everyone into service or enslave them, human trafficking, all of these things. Our first treaty from the United States was a treaty of friendship with the Kingdom of Morocco, actually. This was the first treaty that we ever struck. 3 North African nations were engaging in wanton piracy and raiding and things like that, and trafficking and so forth, the slave trade. And the United States, tried to convince them to stop. And this is why we ended up engaged in Tunisia. That was the U.S. Marines that did that. One of our first major encounters as a sovereign nation, by the way. In fact, I think it might have been the first one. Morocco decided very wisely to play nice, struck up friendship and said, okay, we're going to tamp down on, the whole trafficking thing. Tunisia did not. They got the fuzzy end of the lollipop on that one. Let's put it that way. Tunisia seems cool, but Morocco's cooler. Just saying. Just saying to any Tunisian clankers, I have no problem with you, but Morocco is a pretty cool country. I'd love to visit. So this is actually a legitimate use of U.S. military force. These are ships that are coming to the country for the sole purpose of poisoning the population with fentanyl. And that's really probably what they were running. Like when you see the fireball in that film footage, just keep in mind that anyone that survived the initial blast, they died real happy because they were high as a motherfucker. One hit of that shit, and they didn't care that they were drowning. It's almost a mercy killing when you think of it. Also, you will also note something else. If this had not been a cartel ship, so it was just fishermen or something like that, it was a grave mistake. We were wrong. Maduro and the Venezuelan government would have come out immediately and said that. This wasn't a drug vessel. What are you talking about? You just splattered 10 individuals and they were blameless. They were just out on a fishing expedition. They were in international waters. What are you talking about? Out there with their harpoons and stuff like that. They're trying to go sword fishing or something. But the Venezuelan government didn't respond that way now, did they? Instead, they've been completely mum. Well, there's probably a reason for that, as I explained this morning. The reason's because it was a drug ship. Now, of course, I do not believe in the drug war. Here's my idea. XC, Venezuela, 55th state. I would love to visit Venezuela if their government were more stable. It's got a cool climate. The northern part of the country actually has one of the most agriculturally friendly climates in the entire world, actually. They've also got some Amazon rainforest. They've got that little desert, actually, there that extends into Guyana mainly, which they're trying to take over. I do believe in fighting, and this is ironic, probably, based on the way that I'm dressed. I do believe in fighting piracy, like actual piracy, like speedboats and machine guns piracy that you tend to get off the coast of Eastern Africa mostly, and parts of the Caribbean quite still. I believe in tamping down that, and also the drug ships. Here's my solution. Decriminalize every drug in the United States, for production as well, and then become the world's biggest drug exporter. You know, it'd be pretty funny to sell bales of marijuana, high grade, hydro, seedless, stemless, perfect, dripping sensimilla, pack it into a bale, and then put a sticker on it that says made in the USA. We could make so much goddamn money, especially here in my home state of Vermont, where it's been legal for some time. You think that we're not capable of outclassing virtually any other group of people in the world when it comes to growing good weed? Good luck to you. You will lose this contest. It'd make, God, this one state alone would make millions of dollars. Probably tens of billions, actually. Cooking Inferno, boat probably loaded with xylazine as well. Maybe. I'm sure there were some chemical reagents aboard the boat, considering the blast. Taco Woman, Sandy Ravage, shout out my black and death metal band, Gnashing. We're playing Holy Diver Bar in NOLA tomorrow night with Faustian and Writhings. Doors at 8, $10 cover. Yeah, I need to see that at some point. When I get back down into New Orleans, which I will, my hope is that you're playing a show while I'm down there. That'd be cool. Bog, bales of cocaine falling like the pouring rain. Yeah, imagine, I mean, we've got areas in the United States where you can grow coca. Southern Florida, parts of Texas, Louisiana. You can grow coca down there. It's subtropical. You can definitely grow weed all the way up here. I've totally never done that before, by the way. You know, and you can manufacture all the other cool like, pills and shit like that pretty easily. It's not that difficult to do, actually. As long as you know what you're doing, you probably won't poison a bunch of people. But if you're exporting it, who cares? Not my problem, now is it? I believe that the United States should become a net drug exporter. Instead of getting shitty Mexican brickweed, why don't we make our own sweet hippie sensimilla, which will cost twice as much to people in other countries when they realize it's made in the USA. It'll have like a quality mark or something like that. Hey, this was made in the ultimate drug country. Fucking smoke it. Snort it. Boof it up your ass if you're into that sort of thing. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe I'll become a real pirate, and I'll start running drugs. And I'll use an actual, like, wooden pirate vessel to do it, too. So people think it's like a tourist ship or something like that. So they won't even understand it because it's not a modern vessel. They'll think it's for show or something. They won't even look into it. They'll be, oh, look at pirate ship. By the way, Anton is here. That means we have a responsibility. Too salty, he says. No, it's not. It's just right. Yum. Yeah, it makes a real good soup if you use that as bouillon. I made creamy tomato basil the other day. Still plenty left over, so it's getting reheated with some grilled cheese capris on the side, with fresh basil, of course, and Munster cheese. I am disappointed by people who use any other form of cheese. Cheddar is acceptable, but not recommended. And then we have corn chowder, actually, that my dad is making tonight. So there's going to be 2 big-ass pots of soup. I don't even know how we're going to fit it in the refrigerator. We're going to have to eat a lot of it. William, take the fucking stupid pirate half-child. I'll keel haul you and your mom. I'm going to make you walk the plank right into a pond full of alligators. Oh, yeah, Privateer of the East. Yeah, we talked about that this morning in a one-off. The left is so goddamn scared of RFK Jr. He made the people questioning him look like absolute idiots. Which, I mean, they are, but, you know, at the same time, not everyone's capable of running rhetorical circles around them. But he did. He completely crushed him. It's like, hey, you've been in, your position for 25 years. You've never done anything about the healthcare crisis in the United States. I'm just trying to find new solutions. The hell is your problem? And then people were saying, it's a weird, they're like, they were saying like he's anti-vax and stuff. It's like he's not anti-vaccine. He's against certain vaccines that are highly experimental and forcing people to take them. He's also highly against over-reliance on vaccines because that's only one part of the healthcare system. If you get a population with poor nutrition, a poor exercise routine, and you get like nanoplastic and shit everywhere, you can't expect to have a healthy population. Other countries, in the first world at least, are already taking initiative to try to remove plastic from as much packaging as possible to limit the damage that it's doing. We now correlate it with dementia. We can correlate it with other health problems. It gunks up your organs. It probably causes organ failure. We should be using as little plastic as possible. Go back to using wax paper cups and stuff like that. It'd be a healthier world. Also, they're biodegradable. I would think that the NIMBYist liberals would love this sort of thing. But for some reason, they don't. It's because it impacts them personally. They want you to plant a tree, but they don't want to have to plant the tree themselves. Spike 11117. We are trying to make nuke and ship years ago. We made in America would have meant something again. Then damn RoboCop stopped it. Yeah, why not become the drug overlords of the planet? He's saying that we can. I mean, the government wouldn't be able to do it. They've already shown in multiple states only the U.S. government is capable of making marijuana unprofitable. To the point where in California the black market is still considerably larger than the dispensary market because of regulation, taxation, and stuff. Only a government can possibly make drugs unprofitable. Wait till they get a hold of prostitution. They'll find a way to make that go bankrupt as well. Well, there's no whores around anymore because they can't make a living. Yeah, I remember $20 a slice for the cheap weed down in Florida when I was in East Tampa in Sefner. Dealt out by a dude who was probably a skinhead. He was definitely a trailer skinhead. Probably was cooking meth at the same time. And I mean, it's good. It's weed. It's just the whole point is to get high. It doesn't really matter the quality, but you are getting what you pay for to some extent with marijuana. I've had everything from the highest grade, hippie-grown, organic, trippy hydro, all the way down to the cheapest, shittiest ass brickweed. They do hit different, but it's not a terrible difference. But I would like to think that the United States is capable of growing the best weed, making the best cocaine, developing the best heroin, and all of these other wonderful things that people can put in their bodies to forget their existential misery. And then we can sell them and make a shit ton of money. You think that I wouldn't get in on that market? Oh, hell yeah. The United States issued a letter of marque to people and said, look, you can grow weed and then we'll ship it for you for a stipend. Yeah, damn right I'd get into that. I got 2.5 acres of good land here, and weed grows well. Yankee Northwest, hey Sticks, long-time listener and mooch, first time super chatting. According to the experts, I'm supposed to worry about nicotine when there's microplastics in my balls? Love the content. Yeah, that's the other thing. Certain healthcare issues are focused on. So, well, we must eliminate smoking, drinking terrible. But then those substances are legal as well. So it's a little bit hypocritical. But weed, oh my god, it's the devil's lettuce. It's a gateway drug. In my opinion, it's a gateway to eating more food, preferably of a healthy sort. You know, the ring-dings might not be so good for you. They'll probably hurt you much more than the weed will. And a gateway to just chuckling, you know, while you watch a YouTube video. Spike, I need to read my comments before sending out. Also, I thought it was great that a fat woman in a wheelchair was yelling about RFK destroying her health. Yeah, I saw that. It was pretty funny. And Elizabeth Warren yelling at him. That was funny, too. Spocko, the IRS took over a brothel in Nevada. They lost money. Wait, the IRS took over the cat house brothel at one point? Oh god, you have got to DM me that fucking story. I was not aware of this. I remember watching that. HBO On Demand had the Cat House series there with the legal brothel in Nevada. That was back when I was in high school. I wasn't technically old enough to be watching that, but it wasn't much impressive anyway. It's just like, okay, here are people who fuck for money. Can't even go in raw. Well, what's the point? Imagine paying $200-300 and you don't even get to take the condom off. Yeah, no thanks. Federal agents arrest hundreds at Hyundai plant construction site in Georgia. The South Korean government is pissed at this. Turns out that apparently there were a bunch of people who overstayed their visas from South Korea that were illegally working in an automotive plant down in Atlanta. And ICE raided them. Several hundred people were arrested in the process of this happening. And the Korean government's like, well, you know, we're concerned about this. They sent several envoys over, actually, to query what the hell was going on. Here would be my response. South Korea is great. The food is great. The people are cool. I would love to see South Korea. But if people from your country are coming illegally into the United States, whether they cross the border, overstay a visa, it does not matter. We have our own problems. We have to look to ourselves first. We can't continuously prop up all the other countries in the Western Hemisphere and East Asia at the same time unless we fix our own problems. It will not be possible to do so. This is what Trump and a few of us understand that the Uniparty either doesn't understand or doesn't care about. That's the whole problem. It would be like, imagine if a few hundred U.S. citizens were to go to South Korea today, and they go in on tourist visas, and they overstay those visas, and then they start working for a factory in South Korea. What would be the response? The response would be, they're taking our jobs. And this is usually associated in American parlance with people with suspenders and half their teeth missing, or they're taking their jabs and stuff like that. You know, they read the Bible, but they've never read any other book. But that's not reality. It's normal people that are concerned about this sort of thing. It's a broad plethora of people that understand that it's a problem. The same would be true for South Korea if that were to happen to them. If you all of a sudden found there were 200-300 Americans in South Korea working under the table for an automotive manufacturer, probably the people of South Korea would be more amenable to saying they're taking our jobs, because they quite literally did. They're doing the jobs you no longer qualify for because the job position isn't open. It's been already filled. Yeah. And so when I see like liberals are complaining about this too, like, oh my God, it's like nobody has a problem with South Koreans, dude. Koreans are cool. You know, look at rooftop Koreans back in the LA riots back in the 1990s. Koreans are based as fuck. But that doesn't mean that you need to allow people illegally in from other countries to take jobs that could be well paying for American workers. That's just not the way that it should be working. Glanville, Mr. Sticks, I miss the Minecraft videos. Videos, man. I wish that I had time to do Minecraft videos. I'm thinking of trying to rig something up. Maybe I'll do some Minecrafting. I only do single player for the most part unless I'm griefing. And I wish, more than almost anything in my entire history as a content creator, one of the things that I regret most, other than deleting the ICQ blog and not backing it up first, and putting it on a different account. Other than that, the thing that I miss most, really, is the griefing videos. I've only got one on there, the FinMine one. I had several dozen, and I did some significant damage, let's put it that way. Once I figured out that you could use lava and water buckets, and you could effectively annihilate entire villages without too much effort, and you only needed one bucket of each, by the way, because you could just dump it and then refill it, and you rinse and repeat, basically. Once I realized that you could technically build into areas that were protected, like people's homes or spawn or something like that, simply by doing the lava trick, oh, I had so much fun. On that one server, oh, I ripped them a new asshole. People, 5 years later, several of the FinMine people were still commenting on the video. We'll put it that way. It was a feminist server, too. FinMine was specifically for females, so I was the outlier. I cobbled off spawn with the lava trick, and there was just like lava everywhere. I made huge pylons of lava in random spots so that areas would be completely impassable. I built a gigantic swastika floating above spawn, lit by torches, so when people logged in, all they saw was around them it's a river of lava that they couldn't get through because you can't break something that's in spawn anyway. And then if they looked up, they just saw this giant swastika in the sky. It was pretty funny. Oh man, I wish that I could do that more often. It was pretty fun. And by pretty fun, I mean like I laughed my ass off at the time. Yes, King of Biltong, I did indeed snort Bry Rub. I've got the Biltong rub over there. Maybe I'll snort it some other time. It's all good. It was fun. Yeah, got a nosebleed from it, but yeah. Me too. Been working out on our new premises. Lots of driving, says King of Biltong. Congratulations on having new premises. Bobby Bobinson wants me to die. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow on a video. I'll do a special video where I snort powdery substances. None of which are narcotics, but, you know. How much does it hurt? Snorting Reaper powder or something like that. I'm willing to do that, as long as I'm paid enough. Jail leadership received high-level orders on Epstein case, but failed to prevent 6-hour monitoring gap. Yes, you know that time period in which Epstein managed to kill himself? Yeah, that gap was unauthorized. It was literally the sort of thing that supposedly they were seeking to prevent. I don't believe it as far as I can throw it, and it's going to be pretty hard to throw a bunch of zeros and ones in a database somewhere, so yeah. Epstein did not kill himself. He was assassinated. It's quite clear. Everyone with an IQ above room temperature range knows this. Most people with an IQ below room temperature range knows this. 60 IQ? Did Epstein kill himself? No. Yeah, well, good answer. Epstein did not kill himself. He was killed. The coroner's report, the lack of them even checking up on him, the guards that felt, well, one guard and one trainee that fell asleep on the job, the cameras going out at exactly the same time, and the scrubbing of digital records all point to foul play. Under any other circumstances, if Epstein weren't associated with a library of the rich and famous, and if it wouldn't implicate hundreds of people who collectively control trillions of dollars of the Western economy, if it weren't for his position, and nobody would think that he killed himself. The legacy media wouldn't go to bat for the story, not in a million years. They'd be saying, look, there are way too many questions in this case. Somebody wanted him dead. And there were probably thousands of people that wanted Epstein dead. And these are the lifestyles of the rich and vapid sort of people. These are people who can buy and sell your entire neighborhood, or who are so famous that everyone knows their name, or that are politically empowered and make decisions affecting your day-to-day life, which is probably the most crushingly bizarre aspect of it. Oh yeah, a bunch of people that vote on bills or write executive orders that directly affect you are a bunch of fucking pedophiles. How heartwarming. How wholesome. Makes me feel really safe at night. There's no way that Epstein killed himself. And this is just another brick in the wall moment, so to speak. Bureau of Prisons emails show high-level oversight despite guards failing mandatory checks, say Epstein requested protective custody. Oh! He wanted to have somebody monitoring him 24/7. Does that sound like the sort of thing you would ask for unless you expected to be killed? Certainly, just being suicidal, you wouldn't want protective custody. The fuck would you want somebody leering over and watching you all the time if you just intended to kill yourself anyway? This was an inflicted death. We all fucking know it. 99% of the people watching this live stream know that Epstein did not kill himself. It's as simple and clear as day. I'm surprised that they're even bothering to report on it at this point. We're not going to get any closure. That much is clear, which is sad. But, I mean, seriously, you would have to be so idiotic to think that he actually killed himself. It's sort of like with Vince there, who shot himself in the back of the head 3 times. After being associated with the Clintons for an extended period. I noticed that that's also, quite common. Oh, you're associated with the Clintons and something went wrong. All of a sudden, you killed yourself. You took a hacksaw, cut off both of your legs. Then you shoved it in your heart. After you were already dead, you shot yourself in the head with a shotgun several times. And then you managed to pick yourself up, despite having no legs and being dead, and throw yourself into a vat of acid. This is believable in Clinton world, by the way. Ooh, book, he fell face first into a pool of henna. Lemon curd sticks, how is it that you are half a ginger? Your hair is almost red. Yes, I've noticed. This is something, other people have mentioned this too. For some reason, my hair is turning red, and I do not know why. My hair had always been, a slightly darker chestnut brown, but it's becoming more and more red. It makes me look like I'm, turning into a Scotsman or something. I think that it's genetic. We have some weird family genetics. The Warwick side of the family is 50% Scottish on my dad's side. On my mom's side, it's more English, German, stuff like that. With dad, it's England and Scotland. Those are the only 2 progenitors of that particular lineage. Hence my teeth. Inbreeding, of course. But I'm thinking there might be some sort of latent Scottish gene in there. Because I've also noted something else very strange with my hair. I had several occasions recently where I had beard hairs that were turning silver. I'm going gray, I'm approaching 40, so I got some gray hairs. But they suddenly started coming in a red color. Like the gray went away, so to speak. I was looking at one of these hairs, I'm like, the outside is gray, so that's the older part of the hair. But it was growing back with color. But it wasn't the same brown as before. It was more of a reddish brown. It made me look like, I'm gonna, go on a trip with Frodo or something like that. And join Gimli. And I have absolutely no clue how this was accomplished genetically. I don't know. Spike, with the Epstein victims press conference, did any of that seem off to you? To me, something is off. Something is definitely off. I'll tell you exactly what's happening. Trump wants to release the Epstein list and all of the other documents. So does Bondi and the others associated with him. I know that he does. He wants to absolutely crush the people that have made his life so difficult. But he can't. He can't do that. And he probably feels sad about this more than anything. He can't do that because if you were to implicate most of the major bankers, sports stars, politicians, etc., go on to military brass, corporate heads, if you were to implicate them all as fucking 15-year-olds, boy oh boy, it'd be really good for the economy now, wouldn't it? When all of those when all hell breaks loose and there's massive protests in the streets, and multiple corporations immediately go under, banks fold, celebrities are discredited and basically wander off. Military brass has to be fired. Politicians get impeached and removed from office. When that happens, it would cause a free-for-all, and it wouldn't just be limited to the United States. Epstein had a worldwide clientele. Plenty of European leaders, I'm sure, went to Rape Island. From all over Europe, Russia, Asia, probably Africa, Latin America, everywhere, basically, in the world. So the problem is, while it would be justified to out these people and let their lives be ruined, it would also, in the de facto sense, you'd also be ruining the lives of billions of other people who rely upon those corporations and banks and so forth to employ them, who follow the military brass, which you have to replace then, and so forth, and the constituents of politicians. Then you have a secondary matter. You have the secondary matter that if Donald Trump outs all the political heads specifically, they'll say it's a political attack. Unlike with Joe Biden, who explicitly attacked his political enemies through subterfuge, attempting to censor them and suppress their material. By the way, big tech is still doing this to this day, despite having no Biden to command them to do so. They did it on their own accord, mainly. Just look at my YouTube viewership for an example. Anyway, if he were to do that, it would be considered retaliatory. I mean, they're already up in arms over the fact that he's like, maybe I want to investigate James Comey and stuff like that. Like, just to like one or two people, imagine if it were thousands of people. Absolutely, he would be completely lambasted by the legacy media, by the political elite, and by all these other people. And the other problem, here's problem number 3, is that you can't release the list. You can't release all of the details of the Epstein case because there's an ongoing investigation into what happened. It takes years for these things to play out. And a lot of that evidence has been destroyed anyway, probably by now, so, yeah. Dabshank the First. Trump needs to go full Felix Sulla, made and put all the traitors on a list to cleanse our republic of corruption. I would love it if that were to happen. I would love it if Donald Trump were to say, you know what, fuck this shit. Give me the goddamn list. This is declassified, file this off, and puts it out. Also, the legacy media would either not cover it or say it was a conspiracy theory, so it'd be another partisan issue. In the end, half the population would get cognitive dissonance, and they wouldn't even believe what he had put out there. They'd say, well, maybe this list isn't really real or something like that. He's spreading conspiracy theories again, just like RFK Jr. when he tells you that you should, eat a healthier diet. That's just a conspiracy theory. Go to McDonald's, which, by the way, maybe I'll go to McDonald's tomorrow. Maybe I'll have my annual burger or something like that. Greenman, if anything, it would create a vacuum and more small businesses would have a better chance of making it. Small businesses it's very difficult these days because they can't get the investment they need to start the small business, and the regulation system is so complex, it's impossible for small businesses to thrive outside of rural areas. In rural areas, you get farm to market and stuff like that. You have plenty of small businesses and co-ops and syndicates and stuff. But if you go to any urban or suburban area, it's really, really difficult. Just talk to somebody who's tried to make a small business. Trust me, I've talked to plenty of them. The hoops and hurdles that they have to go through, holy goddamn shit. I'm very, very glad that I'm self-employed. Mystery as 16 German politicians die before they were due to stand in state elections, sparking wild conspiracy theories. Talked about this morning. It is now no longer 6, it is now 7 members of the AfD in just one province. This is just one province in Germany who have died before the elections, namely Westphalia, North Rhine-Westphalia. It is disproportionate when half of the people that have died before the election, while the elections are ongoing, are from one political party that doesn't really have that much representation in that province to begin with. That is highly disproportionate. It'd be disproportionate even if they were a major party there. This is the part of Germany that tends to be much more left-leaning. I've been there before. That was the province that I visited when I went to Munster. And again, the first thing that I see practically is an Antifa tea room. You know, you see Antifa gnome all over the place on lampposts and stuff, Antifa stickers, leftoids and shit, people who are clearly, you dress for success, you dress for what you want to be. I want to be a pirate. Some people want to throw Molotov cocktails at a cop car. But that's what you see when you go there. Westphalia, that area is not right-leaning in any way, shape, or form. So there are fairly fewer members of the AfD there, and fairly fewer numbers that are bothering to run for office, because it's definitely not their stronghold. Their stronghold is the eastern side of the country, what used to be East Germany, and into areas central, with only a few exceptions. That's where AfD mainly holds power. Despite the fact that because of the German election system, they have relatively less seats from there than they have in the western part of the country. It's a very strange system. Again, I pointed out this morning, I'm not even going to bother trying to explain the German electoral system. But that's the thing. It would be very, very strange if that many people from one specific political party managed to keel in such a time. Now, some people told me, well, yeah, but they're old. Well, several of these people have been confirmed to be middle-aged, but they still died. So, I mean, I can accept maybe if 2 or 3 people die in the course of an election, when you have hundreds of people there, that's one thing. 7, that's getting up there. That's a little bit odd now, isn't it? And people were pointing out how they thought that this was similar to what happened actually in Mexico not that long ago, where the opposition party, all of a sudden, people just started dropping dead. Leading to the fact that Mexico now has a Jewish president, by the way, which is, in my opinion, hilarious. Just saying. But, people are dropping dead. And that probably won't be the last one. There'll probably be more. And then some people are saying, well, people from other parties died. Yeah, but as many people died from this one underrepresented party as all the other parties combined in this region. That doesn't exactly help your case that this isn't some sort of bizarre conspiracy. I have a feeling that they're trying to purge AfD, trying to upend the elections, because they're afraid of losing. Because AfD are not really, I mean, they're nationalistic, but they're civ-nats. They're reasonable nats, so to speak. Their economic platform is not particularly to the right of what's already being pursued by CDU. That area of the country is mostly run by social democrats more than anything else. In other words, communists. That's what they are. Drill, Black Bloc. Yeah, I remember when Black Bloc was the big thing instead of like BLM and Antifa. But they keep saying like, all right, so AfD, such a big threat. You're spying on them. You're censoring them, you're jailing their leaders, and now they're beginning to die off in one of the most populated parts of Germany, like flies. At what point do we say there might be a systemic persecution event going on? I don't know, I've looked at their platform and I'm like, okay, this would be considered like equivalent to maybe a more left-leaning economically, actually, version of MAGA populism. It's basically we're being overrun by people who aren't assimilating, which I think the average European understands is actually happening. Whether you think that it's organized or not, it is happening. Regardless, there's no argument to be had about that. And we don't want to be part of a globalistic panacea. We want to have Germany for Germans. I support this. I was not a fan of Germany when I went there. but they have the right to live their lives the way that they want to. And they make some great dark wave music, just saying. Although I think that the French do it better, honestly. We'll have to have a debate about that. Favorite dark wave? Yeah, I think with the cold wave offshoot, the French do it best, honestly. British, pretty good. German, pretty good. American dark wave, really good. You get the Batcave goth scene, although that's only semi-connected. You get like Roz Williams and shit. Pretty good, the LA sound. Tesla proposes Elon Musk pay package that could make him world's first trillionaire. Yes, indeed. An immigrant from Africa might become the first trillionaire in the world. The number of heads that will explode should this happen will be monumental. The day of salt reckoning will have arrived. Finally, the apocalypse will be here. Liberals will, their heads will be spinning so fast they'll be floating through the goddamn air. When we get to troll them, if this happens, and I'm really hoping that it does, it would be so fucking funny. Can you imagine? Your liberal friend, of course, is bitching about it. Oh, that Elon Musk, Trump adjacent stuff. Hey, you realize that an African immigrant is the first trillionaire in the world. Now, I thought that the United States was like racist and xenophobic and shit. Oh man, their reaction will be so priceless. I am so looking forward to this. I really hope that it happens. Yeah, they're proposing a pay package of untold amounts of money via Tesla. And I think that he should get it. Now, I'm not even a fan of Tesla. Keep in mind, here's Elon Musk holding. You've got Tesla, so that's like electric cars and things like that. But I don't support electric cars. It's his most successful endeavor in the financial sense, although it has problems because of boycotting activity by leftoids, which the same leftoids that used to praise him as the savior of mankind, because here's this immigrant who's going to save the world with, green energy. All of a sudden, once he said, no, I'm a Republican now, all of a sudden the same people started, burning their Teslas and stuff like that. A bunch of morons. So you get Tesla. Boring company. That is sort of petered out, although I do notice that one congressional representative that I talked about the other day, I believe that was a boring company, not a flamethrower that she was using to burn the Koran. I thought that was funny too. Oof, by the way, she's cute. But the idea of the Lev train tunnel or whatever it was that they were trying to build, that doesn't seem to have really gone anywhere. Nor should it. It's a bad idea. But you've also got SpaceX. Elon Musk did manage to engineer the first rockets that are capable of re-entry and reusing. That is a huge goddamn advantage. To be able to get a rocket to, let's say, the moon and pull it back and then clean it up and reuse it, you're saving so many goddamn resources. You're probably saving $100 million per rocket launch or something like that. That's pretty impressive. And then, of course, you get Starlink, and a lot of people use that because, you can be out in the middle of nowhere and still get good internet connection. That makes sense, especially for people who want to go off the grid. You get your backup system and you get internet, and then you don't have to worry. Hey, I'm 100 miles away from the next house over. Yeah, this is great. People are doing that. Yeah, so Elon Musk might actually become a trillionaire. He might be the first one. Oh, I hope so. I mean, I don't agree with everything Elon Musk does, and I don't agree with everything that he says. But just the novelty of an African immigrant who moved to the United States through Canada, who has been dragged over the goddamn coals for years now by the same people that said originally that he was the savior, their reaction would be probably it might even rival the Chaz Garden. I might fall on the floor laughing. Ramon C. GTC, the Puerto Rico exercises look awesome. Yeah, we got F35s over there. Cartel members, beware. King of Biltong, we are moving to our new premises at the end of September. Please support us through this final push with some Biltong purchases if you can. www.biltongusa.com. Code STICKS for 10% off. I strongly recommend it. In fact, maybe I'll eat some Biltong later too. I got too many tasty foods around me. I've also got some kefir. Alamandorius, hey Sticks, I have come to a realization that I am embarrassed I didn't come to before. I think the woke folk have a serious brain issue where they can't understand nor process reality, which is why all the weird shit. Yeah, I think that you're right. It's not just the left. I mean, there are people on the right that suffer the same issue, just saying. But it seems to be mostly a far leftist problem. It's like, you show them a report that shows, hey, crime is up 50%. And by the way, the mayor is a far leftist. These may be correlated because he constantly says to fund the police and rides down his own department. But their eyes will glaze over, right? And they won't acknowledge it. Not in any way, shape, or form. Happens all the time. Skippy, I live in bumfuck Montana. Starlink is a savior. Yeah, I think a lot of people use it here too, in Vermont, because, I mean, I use Fidium, so I've got fiber hooked up, because I have to do that for, like, I think you'd need 2 Starlinks to get about the same speed, or thereabouts, or maybe a little bit less. So it would cost more. So for me, fiber makes more sense. But if I was like in the Northeast Kingdom, you better believe that I would be getting Starlink. Timmy the Oot, is Stick still bleeding through the nose? No, that was the result of snorting Bry Rub. I thought it was fun myself. Lemon Curd Zero, Sticks, have you ever grooved to old-time swing music like Tommy Dorsey or Glenn Miller? If it's going to be old-timey music, I like Sing 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 with a Swing by Goodman and stuff like that. I remember I first heard that song when I was watching The Tower of Terror. It was a young adult movie from like the mid-90s, and I can't remember exactly how it went. But it was like this elevator was possessed by an evil spirit or something, and it was trying to kill some kid, or something like that. And they had the because it was set in a hotel that was built in the 1920s, like the Art Deco period. They had Sing Sing with a Swing by Benny Goodman, and I heard that song. I was like, wow, this is great. It took me years, actually, to figure out what song it was. I didn't know what the title of it was. Turtles Toy Box. Sup, me dudes. Arr, me dudes. Me mateys. Today, as you can see, I am Crack Sparrow. That's an old joke. Just like me. Yeah. Oh, we got to talk about this. All right, let's rant for just a minute, if I can. We've got new job statistics, actually, for August, and they came in pretty cool. They did not come in hot. And liberals and the legacy media are saying, well, this is an indicator Donald Trump's tariffs are destroying the economy. Pretty soon everyone will be homeless and jobless and we're all going to suffer. Oh my God, it's terrible. Let me explain something with regards to the job statistics. That is not parsing out for the number of people who had jobs in the United States who self-deported. That's number one. Number two, it doesn't take any initiative to look at the difference between leaving a job and being jobless. That is that a lot of those new jobs that were created under Joe Biden were people taking out second, usually part-time jobs to buy groceries. If they leave that job, well, that's a job position that's opened. That's one less employment now, isn't it? They're not employed at that gas station anymore. They're not employed at that restaurant anymore. They're just doing their normal job. But it still counts. And so that's part of these statistics. Yes, indeed, we are reabsorbing people into what would be considered a normal workforce so they don't have to take a second job, while expunging people who are not privileged enough to actually work in the country at all and shouldn't even physically be here. Well, no shit. The number of new jobs created was less. Oh my God. Only 76,000 jobs were created. Now look at the unemployment rate. It didn't really move. That's because those were second jobs that people quit because they no longer needed them. Because they're now capable of paying their bills and buying their groceries without having the second job. That and people who were unlawfully employed in the United States, they're on the rolls, but they're not allowed to work, technically speaking, and a lot of them decided to self-deport. So I don't see any problem with this news. This is not a negative economic indicator. If anything, it's actually a positive indicator. Some people will say, well, Sticks, you're just trying to cope for Trump. You're stretching. No, I mean, look at the reality of the statistics that they're compiling. That is the explanation. If 100,000 people self-deported over the course of a month, so they're no longer occupying those job positions, well, no shit, the job positions are unoccupied. This will cause one problem. This is not in the immediate sense, but down the road. This is something that we need to admit to if we're in favor of this sort of thing, and I am, for the most part. One thing that will happen is that because the unemployment rate is fairly low, especially since people are parsing off those second jobs, it will be very difficult, I think, for especially younger, less trained people to actually find jobs at all, because there's not going to be a whole lot available. Like right now, if you put out 20 or 30 different offers to try to get a job, you apply at like 50 different places or something, you might get like 5 callbacks, and you might get 2 interviews from that, and maybe one of them hires you. That's basically the lay of the land right now. It's sort of like at the peak of the Great Recession. I remember one surreal story, actually. My ex at the time decided to work at Walmart. And apparently there was a person working there in a clerical position, and not even a manager or anything, just a generic Walmart worker. He had a goddamn PhD. He actually, apparently he was crying about it one day. He's like, I got like 5 peer research scientific articles to my name. I've got a goddamn PhD and hundreds of thousands in debt. And I'm working at Walmart. This makes a whole lot of sense. No, it doesn't make sense. But as far as the Bureau of Labor Statistics report there, it is not a negative indicator. It's a positive one. It means that we're forcing out people that are not legally in the country. Cha-ching. Good. That's number one. And also people don't have to work second jobs as often. It means there's less stress on their finances. Good. I don't want anyone to have to work a second job unless they want to. Grand Theft King. Sticks, would you ever go on the casino? PPP has admitted he likes you now, but chat convinces him to still clown. Yeah, no thanks. It's all good. Everybody talks. Believe it or not, I don't care if people insult me. It means absolutely nothing. It's a little bit of a ride when somebody who you've been, if not close to, at least acquainted with for a considerable amount of time all of a sudden hauls off. I don't have any problem with what they say on this show. It's all good. Oh, we've gotten through the news. Oh my. I would talk about Kennedy some more. What's this shit? His Judgment Cometh, and that right soon, by James R. Brown. Why is there a picture of George Soros at the top? I don't know, and I don't care. Sometimes you get some weird stuff collated on RCP too. Really great aggregator, especially for polls during election season. It's the only one that I use because it's the only one that's actually fairly reliable. You have to read into it a little bit, but a lot less a bit than with other aggregators of polls, for example. And they got the news. The only exclusion is Sunday, when things don't really roll over that much. Everyone pretty much just sacks out, I guess. They got drunk on Saturday night, so they couldn't be bothered to make their news articles. I wish I had tea at the moment. I like water. It's recommended for your survival. But tea is basically just water that's impregnated with happiness. It's tastier water. I mean, you can ice it if you want to. It doesn't matter. Dab Shank the First. I'm American Indian, but I started putting that I was black in job applications, and I got 3 interviews next week. Should have done this years ago. Yeah, I mean, that's the way to do it. DEI really is a thing. Desert Sky. Green tea. I prefer the black tea. And I like it extra, extra strong. And I don't put anything in it. I'll put a little bit of sugar sometimes, but generally speaking, I just take it as is. I like that bitter flavor. It's delicious. I do still have tea. We've got the what was it? I've got the golden pear one, and I don't think that I've tried it yet, actually, or did I? I can't remember. I like all of their teas, every single one of them. Still got, I think, that one tea here somewhere. Oh no, I cleaned it off the table. I had an experimental tea. Actually, DM'd them. Said, overall, this is really great, but it's a little bit too peppery for my taste. That would be more the tea that you would drink when you're sick, to open up your nostrils, so to speak. Let me see. Yorkshire British tea. Hey, Bobby, it's not the hat that's costing me viewers. It's algorithmic demotion. You can say that that's sour grapes and that I'm coping, but I've been doing this for a very long time and I know full well what's going on. Also, I don't care. I literally don't give a fuck. The people that matter will come to my material. As long as you can make a living, it doesn't really matter now much now. John Hoyle. Wonder if Trump was for once thinking too small with Canada. Maybe he should offer the Brits to join the USA. Lots of discontent over there. I don't think that I would want the British to join the United States. CZO Sticks, wish my mom a happy 54th early birthday. Happy birthday, CZO's mom. Hope it's a good one. Charms, Gold Yorkshire Tea. I don't think that I've had that, actually. I've had, like, standard, like Earl Grey and green and black teas and stuff. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with tea. So every day I would bring a thermos full of it to school. I never ate lunch, except that one time with the chicken burger that was given to me by someone else who didn't want it. Other than that, all throughout high school, the only thing that I had was tea. I never had a snack or anything. And I've continued that through my adult life. And one secret to success is starve yourself. Once you're done with your work, you can reward yourself with the food that you want. That's one thing I do not believe in having breakfast. Someone who knows two witnesses and one. Sticks went downhill when the battery ordeal came in New Orleans. Yeah, well, that'll be settled in due time. It'll be very, very funny, by the way, and a lot of people are going to be eating a lot of crow. Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. No one likes a depressing pirate. I'm not depressed, my friend. I'm actually jovial. I've got homemade tomato soup. I'm going to be having grilled cheese with Munster. Don't you dare put any other cheese on the grilled cheese, by the way. I'm going to pan fry that shit up proper. And then there's also corn chowder that my dad is making. And there's 10,000, and then I've got kefir and 10,000 other things to eat. I am a happy pirate, someone who? A very happy pirate. In fact, speaking of pirates, I was going to watch Fight Club later. But I'm also thinking I also want to watch Treasure Island. I'm obsessed with the movie. I think it was 91 with Christian Bale and Charlton Heston. 1990, 1991, 92, somewhere around there. Bobby, how about a non-pirate again? Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to do that too. I dress how I want, not how other people want me to dress. Sometimes I'm a pirate, sometimes I'm a hippie, sometimes I'll put on a flannel shirt and that coonskin cap, and maybe I'll have an axe behind me. It's fun. Taking Ah, Star, what's happening with those ants versus wasps? The wasps are gone. They no longer exist. Their colony has collapsed. Let's see. The Wanderer, Sticks, we love you, brother. But you're clearly depressed. Life isn't going well. We get it, man. We just want honesty and we want to help, Tarl. Seriously, we may fuck around, but we're fans of you. But that's the thing. I'm not depressed and I don't need help. I don't understand why people got the sense that I was. I think this must be some sort of weird inside joke or something like that. John Hoyle, yeah. Styx is the only streamer that keeps maple syrup on his desk. Ta-da! Although, unfortunately, the sugary part is pretty much crystallized on one side, so I don't know exactly how I'm supposed to mix it back together. Yeah. Ah, pirate movies are cool. In the Goonies, I believe, the home where the tunnels are underneath is a grotto. Correct. Yeah, Goonies is a great movie. The water. Because your wife left you. That is false. You were living with your parents in your late 30s. I'm the one paying the property taxes. You have a battery charge against you. The law is an ass. Come on, man, we care, dog. Yeah, but the thing is, like, none of these things affect me in any meaningful way. I do exactly what I want. I find life very, very fun. As long as you don't take it too seriously, it tends to be more fun, I've noticed. You know, you're gonna die someday anyway, so it's like, just do what you want. I wish that were tea instead of water. Yeah, that's the only thing that's making me sad right now is I ran out of the Yunnan Jig tea. Grand Theft King, you struggle to walk up hills, your knees are messed up. Uh, I don't know if you're talking to me or somebody else. I'm not 100% sure, actually. Tarred and feathered, get well soon, Sticks. I assure you, I'm doing just fine. This is all the Kino crowd for the most part, trying to astroturf the concept that I'm depressed. I assure you, I am anything but depressed. Actually, I've got a huge amount of optimism. I was thinking forward. Later on, I'm going to be writing in my book, which always gives me joy. I have fun doing that. So there will be a second Morbid Stories available relatively soon, considering how fast I'm moving through it. I might get to page 90 today. Actually, I might get to page 100, come to think of it. And then I was planning for next year's garden, actually. That one will be good. I've still got to clean out the garden that's out there. I haven't shown you videos of that for a reason. It is a little bit on the derelict side. It's not that there's not some good shit out there. It's just that it's going to take a very long time to actually make it look presentable. And I've got to do that before the deep frost comes, somewhere probably early October or thereabouts. So I'm going to have to take care of that. And the soil is pretty good still. I will terra preta it and add blood meal. I'll let it soak in over winter and through the spring thaw. And that's sort of the way that I do it. It makes more sense. And then, of course, I've got to set up my rig in the spring for seedlings. And there's going to be a lot of crops. Let's put it that way. Another wonderful secret, another brutal jobs report was released today. The unemployment rate went up for the third month in a row to 4.3, highest level since 2021. Oh God, how will we survive? Back in 2021, the legacy media was crowing about how low that unemployment rate was, by the way. Prices keep going up, but jobs are disappearing. False. Jobs are not disappearing. What you've got is people that were of necessity in the workforce who have now left the workforce because the economic situation is better. People leaving their jobs because they're illegally employed and they've self-deported. And people who are vacating secondary jobs, usually part-time, because they no longer need them. This is actually positive economic data. But you're not going to see that from the legacy media, and when I try to explain it to anyone that has TDS, they're not going to understand it, or they'll pretend not to. That's not a brutal jobs report. That's a normal jobs report. Bobby, my caps lock is stuck and it won't turn off. I've fallen and I can't get up. Bobby's keyboard appears not to be working properly at the moment. Just disconnect it and reconnect it, man. I have to do that sometimes. Snakes bleed red. If MGTOW warned Styx that the horse was going to kick him, Styx would make fun of him right before he gets kicked in the face by a horse. My ex-wife never kicked me in the face. That never happened. We're still on amicable terms. There's no drama between us at all. Yes, Bobby, I pirated your keyboard R. Be happy that I didn't make it say ahoy matey over and over again. Damn it, Bobby. That boy ain't right. I get the reference. Yeah, no, Liz is a very good woman. I have no animosity towards her at all. She gave me a beautiful daughter and some of the most fun times in my life over in the Netherlands. Get to see Europe, eat all sorts of weird food and stuff. Traveled to Germany. Well, that wasn't as fun as being in the Netherlands, admittedly. But, yeah, no. Anyone who expects me to talk shit about my ex-wife, that ain't gonna happen, dude. Just saying. If the only thing she ever did for me was give me my daughter, she would still be an angel by all rights in my book. Let's put it that way. B51, Obama's head is not the proper size. You know, I have noticed that about Obama. He's got an abnormally shaped head, if that makes sense. I don't know exactly. He looks like he's got that capoid genetic, I suppose. Jeffrey Duran, Styx, do you still think that you're the devil and Stolas runs hell in your absence? I have never claimed to be the devil because there is no such thing. The devil is an abstract personification of the concept of evil within Judaism. So it is of the devil if it is bad, if it is wrong, harms people, or doesn't comport to kosher dietary ideology or something like that. That's the devil. Satan is a mistranslation that deals with the old serpent. It's quite literally like an evil dragon sort of figure. It's a mythological paranormal figure that exists within Judeo-Christianity. Lucifer is what I claim to be part of. Lucifer is also a mistranslation, and it means it means light, quite literally. That's the only direct translation. The light fell from heaven would be Lucifer. In that context, it's Jesus. Anything else that shines light, metaphorically or physically, would also be Lucifer. So if you're trying to spread truth and knowledge throughout the world, you're Lucifer. It doesn't mean you're the devil. It doesn't mean you're Satan or anything like that. That's not what I claim to be. There is no such thing as Judeo-Christianity, scumbag. Well, there is. I mean, the Bible that you consult, half of those books were written by people that didn't practice Christianity. They practiced Judaism. So yes, Judeo-Christianity is real. I know that it's, yeah, there is. I know that a lot of people want to disclaim that for nationalistic reasons, being Christians generally speaking, but it is Judeo-Christianity, yeah. Inland Surfer. Take the time to watch the excellent movie Empire of the Sun. I've heard of it and I do want to watch it. You may enjoy the scene when Jamie, played by Christian Bale, light signals a Japanese warship to his surprise. Great movie. Snakes bleed red. Jews and Christians are different, idiot. Did I ever say that they weren't? Jews don't believe in the latter half of what you call the Bible, the collection of books that were made after the life of Jesus Christ. So that is true. I admit to that. That's true. But it is still based on Judaism. Now, as a mysticist myself, as someone who's involved with the occult, I understand what you're saying. Christianity is much more based on Essene and pagan material than Jewish material. And then got Romanized, and it's a big convolution. It's basically only made in Italy. Only the Italians with the Catholic Church could probably scribbity-bibbity it into a pile of fucking spaghetti where you can't even trace the origin and the termination of one strand of spaghetti. I understand that. That being said, though, Judaism was still fundamentally the basis for what became Christianity. Jesus was not a Jew. Jesus was an Essene. He was a pagan. He wasn't a Christian because he didn't believe himself to be God anyway. And Islamic or whatever, they have rejected his teachings and doomed this world. I should do a video on this subject, by the way. CP Semple, we've got a sequel and a new character. We think you're going to love him. Lewis Black. I don't know exactly what that's a reference to. No, tarred and feathered. Italians will kill you if you snap the spaghetti. Snakes bleed red because that's bullshit. We don't call Nazis Indo-Nazism because they use the swastika. Well, that's because they were using it thousands of years before. See, you're putting the cart before the horse. The fact is, when they use the swastika on Ganesha's hand or something like that, that was a symbol that they were using long ago. The wolf's angle was also used, along with the swastika, in ancient Germanic pagan culture. It has nothing to do with Christianity, but it was twain with it at the time under the state church. Hitler proclaiming nominal Christianity, though it's not clear that he was particularly religious. As far as Judeo-Christianity, as I term it, goes, what I'm saying is that the basis from which the Christian religion actually was created was originally Judaistic. Jesus was not an Orthodox Jew. He was not a Pharisee. He was not a Sadducee or anything like that. So you're right on that one. He was an outsider because he had gone to the east and down into Egypt. And that part is canonical, by the way, the Egyptian part. But it's suspected that he went as far as what's now Iran, possibly even India, and learned with those people. And so the new religion that cropped up would therefore not be Judaism. The problem is that the people that were following him were all devout Jews, Timothy and so forth, Paul. And so the religion that formed, and Peter, the religion that formed, therefore, that was actually constructed in the ritualistic concept, that is the actual physical church, the actual physical temples that they were using, those were effectively Judeo-Christian. This was a departure from what Jesus had taught of. If you just read the Bible, I tell everyone they should all read the Bible. You'd be surprised if you have a thinking mind how many contradictions you'll see in there. Jesus was not practicing Judaism. He was practicing a form of sorcery by the standards of the day, more than anything else. And but people, they rejected him. They would rather follow Timothy or Paul or somebody like that. Or Peter, upon this rock I found my church and stuff like that. Jeffrey Duran, Sticks, would you let your brother be homeless or let him live in your 2-bedroom apartment until Christmas? Well, I don't have a two-bedroom apartment. I have a whole home, but yeah, you could crash with me if you needed. No, people need to understand the history of Christianity is far more complex than most people understand. Most people think, well, here, I'm going to read the Bible. But how many angels were outside of the sepulchre? Can I please ask that question? Because Matthew and Matt appear to disagree on that. I mean, Matthew and Mark appear to disagree on that. So did John. Is it no angels, one angel, or two angels? Because I'm getting all three stories and they cannot coincide. You have inconsistencies. That's all I'm saying. And it's based on Judaism, kind of, sort of, but it's really based more on mysticism. I agree with you, Snakes Bleed Red, by the way. It's not based on pure Judaism in any way, shape, or form. Jesus was not a practicing Jew. So Muslims are Christians. Muslims, then, because Jesus is in the Quran. The Muslims are trying to steal Jesus from a totally separate movement. Their goal is to steal Jesus and say they're trying to convert people by saying, "Oh no, we love Jesus too." So we don't think that he was the Son of God. We just think that of him as a very, very wise prophet. We have great respect for him. Join Islam, by the way. Inland Surfer, what's your take on the monotheistic religion Zoroastrianism? I've heard debates on its chronological origin predating Judaism. Ahura Mazda is a supreme being that created everything. Yeah, I've studied Zoroastrianism, actually edited a work on the subject. One of the best things that they do is open air funerals. So they'll have like a stone altar, basically. They just put the dead body up there and let the vultures eat it. And they believe that when the vultures fly up into the sky, that they're taking the spirit to heaven. It's quite wise, in my opinion. Hey, you're feeding nature, your atoms are going everywhere when the birds shit. Maybe a flower grows on the bird shit, I don't have a particular take on Zoroastrianism as a greater whole, though. I don't believe that it predates Judaism. That comes later. If you're looking at like ancient Sumerian religion, like pre-Zoroastrianism, that would predate Judaism. But yeah, I think that comes a little bit later. Tuxedo Mask. You don't literally believe in magic, do you? Yes, I literally do. That was an easy question to answer. Yes, I believe in magic. And I don't want to live in a world where I can't. Why would you want to? You remember what it was like to be a little kid, to, pretend to be casting spells and stuff like that, and thinking there were weird things moving around in the forest that hadn't been quantified by science, that not everything was fully explained, that there were mysteries in the world, that there was confusion, that there was something exciting and fun? Why would I want to give that shit up? Dude, I'm dressed like a goddamn pirate. I look like I'm going to go down to the wharf right now, punch somebody out, take their trawler, and go apply the Spanish Main or something like that. I am not interested in a serious life. That's why I don't worry. Beer account has declined. Oh my god. Oh, I'm going to have a heart attack. Nobody cares. No, I've got to be respectable today. I've got to dress fancy. I've got to go out on the town, so I need a tweed coat and stuff. Yeah, fuck that shit. No, thank you. Jeremy Briggs, please send me a healing spell. You are released from your sickness. That is quite literally all that needs to be done. You'll be better in a short period of time. If you believe it. Probably won't. Most people don't. They don't understand how magic works. Sigil Stone. So Rand Paul continues to show his shit-lib bona fides. Oh god, what did he do now? Let me see this. What did Rand Paul do? Come on. Update. Senator Rand Paul warns against future military strikes on boats coming from Venezuela. What if we make a mistake and they happen to be people fleeing the Venezuelan dictator? Well, that sucks to be them, I suppose. He does have kind of a point, I suppose. I mean, that would be a big mistake. That would be a problem, to be clear. But if it's an unflagged vessel, It's uncharted, unscheduled. It just sails out from Venezuela and has a bunch of barrels on board full of what are probably drugs and or reagents. You're probably not going to make a mistake. You got to positively identify, but yeah, it was pretty obviously a cartel vessel. We'll have to talk about. Thank you. I'll have to talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, I'll put that in the docket for tomorrow. Bobby Bobbinson, Styx is permanently stuck in kid mode, LMAO. He refuses to grow up according to him. Absolutely. What good did it ever do me? When I was trying to be mature, what was I going to do? End up in a lab job, stuck behind a desk 40 hours a week to make half as much money as I make now? Yeah, a wonderful life. Not interested. He needs some milk. Good morning, Sticks. Hope things be good for you. Yes, very good today, actually. Weather is just about perfect. And also we've got 2 different soups for later, plus grilled cheese sandwiches. I'm looking forward to tonight. Oh, with Munster, I'm gonna scarf that shit down. The Wanderer, Sticks, what will your daughter say of you in 10 years, dog? Think, Sticks, think. I don't know. That's the whole thing. It's the mystery of life. There's no way to know how people will react to the things that you've done. I think that I can explain myself fairly easily. Yes, Spectergeist. I did make a tomato soup the other day. T. Morris, Sticks, talk about the USS Liberty. Oh, I mean the time that the Israelis deliberately bombed one of our ships off the coast of Egypt and then coyly pretended that it was misidentification despite the fact that that was self-evidently not the case? Yeah. Or the cover-up afterwards by the legacy media that didn't want to talk about it too much. I wonder why. You mean that ship that got bombed by our so-called allies, even though they knew that it was a U.S. vessel? Wow. Yeah, most people don't even know anything about it, the USS Liberty. They've never looked it up. They've never heard of it. It's actually quite effective when people point out, hey, this actually was a thing. Some of their eyes will glaze over and they'll do like the cognitive dissonance thing. And but it does implicate the Israeli government, especially at that time, as having a wanton and reckless sort of reaction to any provocation at all. They didn't even check to see whose ship it was that they were actively bombing. And they tried to radio contact the attacking aircraft, and they're like, look, this is an American vessel. What the hell are you doing? And they wouldn't listen. Then they wrecked the ship. Tuxedo Mask. I mean, dark magic exists. Look at... I don't know exactly what that is. Look at... I don't know what that last reference is. I don't know exactly what you're attempting to put. Snakes bleed red. Oh, you're contributing millions to me? Well, if you want to give me $1 million, then there'll definitely be a lot more garden videos. The local Wendigo. Didn't they also shoot at the survivors swimming in the water as well? Yes, actually, they did. Yeah, it was an unfortunate incident that was, back long, long ago, back during the middle of the Cold War. The Israeli forces there attacked a U.S. vessel, and, practically sunk it almost. And they were told repeatedly by the people on the vessel, they were radioed by them saying, look, you're attacking the wrong ship. Look at the flag, bitch. It's an American ship. And they didn't listen. They just kept, strafing it down. And yes, there were people that were killed in this exposition. But like 90% of people have never heard of the USS Liberty. And then when you try to bring it up, by the way, and this is another level of propaganda, and happens all the time. If you try to tell somebody about the USS Liberty, their first inclination is to think, oh, you must hate Jews, you hate Israel. It's like, no, this is just a historical event. This is what happened. Israeli forces attacked a U.S. ship. This is historical. It happened. I don't give a fuck, but I'm just telling you that this occurred. They just don't understand it. Cognitive dissonance kicks in, their eyes glaze over, and they're not willing to continue the conversation. This happens all the time. It doesn't matter what nation is involved or what religion is involved or anything like that. People just don't want to believe certain things. Like when you say that hundreds of thousands of the concentration camp deaths in Nazi Germany were the result of typhus that broke out because of food shortages as a result of the British firebombing of Dresden. They don't want to discuss this now, do they? Because it's politically incorrect. It doesn't need to be true. It is true. Absolutely. It is objective fact. But bringing it up automatically causes them to assume, well, you're just a Nazi. You're making excuses for them Nazis. Tuxedo Mask, you're an occultist, but you don't know the Kaaba? I've never been to the Kaaba. I'm assuming you mean the Black Stone in Mecca. I don't know if you're referring to potentially something else. But yes, I know what the Kaaba is. Circumambulation, big thing. By the way, Islam picked up that trait from pagans, actually the Sabaeans. Circumambulation around holy objects was already a thing long before Islam existed. But they won't admit to this. You are tiny because you cannot accept criticism nor accept when you are not directly addressed, like my 1.5-year-old son. Anton is putting people in their place. Tarred and feathered. Hitler wanted the world. Styx will settle for Vermont. I don't think he wanted the world. I think he was too interested in living in Nigeria or something like that. If I could have a piece of nice property, it would just be some Aegean island or something like that. I'll eat Greek pasta and stuff like that all day. That's what I'm talking about. I'll take the Isle of Lesbos. How about that? That sounds like the place for me. Anyway, it's Friday. I've got to go offline. I've been live for an hour and a half. I must go offline. There's food to be done. We've got soup business and grilled cheese business and writing stories to end the world business. So I'm going to be doing that. All right, everyone. I'll be back on Monday. I will docket some news for tomorrow's basic bitch videos. But mainly today is a writing day. I just sort of want to sack out with a nice bowl of soup. It's a little bit on the chilly side today, so I'm thinking I'll have 2 or 3 bowls, probably. A little bit of soup, some grilled cheese, and some news docketing, and then some editing. Well, authoring, really, for this one. I think that you're going to like the next Morbid Stories. If you did purchase a copy of the first one and liked it, this one's going to be 10 times better. I'm going all out on the sickness scale to try to make it as crazy as possible. That's about all, my friends. Peace out.